Hello, Steve Schultze with Leaders Transform Coaching and Advising. Today, I want to talk about an area that comes up pretty routine nowadays for individuals. It's about their personal brand and establishment of one for themselves. And so, I want to talk a little bit about why you might want to do this, why you might want to consider developing yourself into a personal brand. Is it absolutely necessary? Not always, right? But think about it as it's something that people remember you by. Like when you're not in the room and they think of you still, what is it they think of you about? So so to share real quick why you might want to consider doing this, I would start with 5 reasons. I think visibility, influence and impact, career advancement, partnerships, trust and credibility. So what do I mean by those? Visibility, right? Sometimes we need to stand out from the crowd. We need the opportunity as a leader to kind of be outside the norm of everybody else and stand out. And so this can assist us, though, when we do that in our future opportunities, because now we're seen as someone that maybe has a little bit different specialty or something along those lines. Influence and impact. This is where we get the opportunity to reach a broader audience. We inspire and motivate others, maybe in the organization, other teams. So it's just broadening again our visibility through some influence and impact. Career opportunities, that's where when we have that consistent brand, others remember us for it. So when an opportunity does come up, we're the ones remembered for it because our brand is kind of leading them to us being the right person for that. A partnership. So, it's not always best to go it alone. So when we've got that great brand, we inspire other thought leaders or similar thinkers sometimes. Or we inspire someone that's not, but they want to join with us. So we can, get some collaborators potentially, which then helps us to grow our own knowledge, broaden our impact, so it opens possibilities. Then the trust and credibility piece. In that one, when you're establishing yourself as that, in that brand, you're slowly making yourself that recognized authority, which then provides trust and confidence for others to think of you in there. So that's why you might want to do this. Again, it's for visibility, to increase your influence and impact, potential career advancements, partnerships, and then the trust and credibility that goes with it. So when you're thinking of creating your own brand, I have some questions for you to consider, right, and think about. There's lots of resources out there to look at this, though. But here's some things I'd like you to think about. How unique are you? Right? What makes you unique in there? And you need to answer that because that's what helps you break yourself out. Are you consistent? Do you show up routinely in the same memory of others because you're consistent in how you do things? Speaking memory, are you memorable? And why? Right? And that why we typically, as a leader, we want it to be for the right reasons, not because we did something that, was a mistake and that's what people remember us for. Do you bring value? Right? So what do you bring to the organization? What do you bring to the team? Are you trustworthy? Right? So those are the things I'd say consider for yourself as you're starting to think about creating your brand. Some other things now, as you're actually into that part now, what are your talents? Right? What makes you unique? What breaks you out from everybody else? I would also share, what are your values? Right? Because our values are a big part of us. So where are your values and how do you bring them into play? What's your mission? And organizations have missions. Sometimes we have to have them too, or many times we should have them too, right? So what's my own mission? And is it strong for me or is it just to get through the day, right? But when you're creating your brand, it needs to be a strong mission to help back up and keep you driven. I would also say what clear impact do you want to make? And how do you want to back that up? Last, be consistent in there. So those are some things I'd say for creating your brand. So here's a few recommendations maybe to help when you're creating that brand. I would recommend you write out your top 5 talents, right? What is it you're known for right now? When you look at those, ask yourself, am I happy with these? Do these represent who I want to be? Or is there a gap somewhere? Something you need to add to those talents so that it helps break you out and creates where you want to be, I guess is what I would say by that. So if there's the gap, then how are you going to close that gap? What are you going to go learn? What are you going to do? What growth opportunity are you going to look for? The other recommendation I'd say to start right now is, what are your top 5 values? And how do you live by them every day? How do you show up for them? The third thing that I recommend is now start thinking about, how do I maintain my consistency and I authentically show up each time, right? When you don't feel yourself in that manner, start asking yourself, well, what happened? What was different? Why was I different? Because as you start to figure out what's going on in here, you might realize, well, I wrote this down, but that's truly not who I am. So I need to go back and figure this out again. So those are the 3 things that I'd recommend you start doing. Write out your top 5 talents, find out if there's a gap in there and go look for growth. Write out your top 5 values and how do you live by them. And then develop a routine of consistency and authentically showing up for yourself. You know, establishing your brand is going to take time, right? Some people, they're already there pretty much. It's just a matter of defining. But for others, it takes a lot more effort. Stay committed. Be who you are, though. Live by your values. And then I'd say keep working on growing your skills and knowledge to build and display the personal brand you desire others to remember you by. So that's what I'd share a little bit about personal branding. You know, if you want to chat about it, reach out, set a time. We can have a 30-minute discussion on it. If you have any great resources you'd recommend, please share them in the comments. Thank you.